Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the SAP Press Book Club. I'm Kendall Tyler, your host, and today's book is Cybersecurity for SAP. I'm so thrilled. We have a really interesting topic today about safeguarding your SAP system from cyber threats. And we have two of our authors are here. And the funny thing is, I was telling JP and Gaurav that we kind of have like interesting little backgrounds here. I've actually met JP's team at a conference, and I know that I have met the entire Under Armour team at one point at another conference, and now we've got both of them here with me. So this is pretty exciting. And right before Sapphire, which is great. So a lot of conversations will be happening around this. So let me introduce our two authors and let them tell a little bit about themselves. So I'm going to hand it over to, let's do you, JP. We'll start with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kendall. And really glad to be here, honored to be part of this book club. And this is also very timely, not only because of Sapphire, but also because the book is became recently top bestseller. So it's not only about the very timely topic, but it's also very popular in terms of people wanting to learn about this. From my side, JP, CTO and co-founder of OneApsys. I've been doing cybersecurity for over 15 years and focused, well, actually more than that. I need to update my pitch. Doing cybersecurity for SAP, very focused on really SAP technology and integrations and really helping our SAP customers securing their implementations. And that's why, hence this book, right?
Definitely. All right. So what about you, Gaurav?
Yeah, I think again, thank you, Kendall, for having us. As JP was saying, this is honor, and yeah, I think what a moment. We are #1 bestseller, SAP Press book, and also if you just think about today's date and the day, this is second Tuesday of the month, so it's not just we just decided to have this book club on today. Today is the security patch days for May, right? So if you guys are scrambling and seeing what's going on there. There's always a reason. So yeah, so we selected that date for our book club podcast because this is.
I did not know that. Yeah. That is really funny, actually.
So we planned for that, JP, and I think.
No wonder everybody's like, "Do you have that open, Kendall?" I was like, "Well, yeah." Y'all did book quite in advance, so that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think so similar experience, but more on the customer side. Almost 10 years working for Under Armour as a senior SAP cybersecurity manager. Before that, I was on the other side of the fence, like doing consulting and doing security. So yeah, that's me, and I say I'm a author for a cybersecurity book now. That's like more of my new identity now than and maybe a
bucket list,
something which my daughter celebrates more than I celebrate. So, but thank you for having us on your podcast.
Oh, of course. I know everybody that gets into the book club, that's the book club thing. Their book gets to the top 10. So we have quite a few books that are always, hey, you gotta get in, gotta get it. And I was talking to SAP Press, and we were like, we have not done anything on cybersecurity, like nothing. So we were very intrigued when you guys started writing this, and we're like, I think we need to get you in. So thank you guys for actually writing the book and taking so much time to put it together. Let's see here. All right, so how we're going to work this is we are going to have the chat open, and we're also going to, I have some questions. So I'll start with some of these questions, and then we'll see if anybody else has questions on top of that. They can chime in, and we'll kind of take it from there so that everybody has, the availability to talk to you. So here's the first one. What inspired you to write cybersecurity for SAP? And what gap in SAP security space were you aiming to fill with the book?
Gaurav, do you want to start?
Okay. So as JP and I think we have been telling, like we have been in this industry for almost 20 years, right? At least for me personally, I think just being in a space and SAP security has been always like GRC compliance, the traditional, we call traditional SAP security, right? And when we um, just see the cyber side of the world, it seems like it's two different silos. Like the cyber folks, the infosec guys, even the CISOs, for them, SAP is still a black box. And if you go on this side of the world where we live and breathe day to day, we still just think security is just that user management, that whole
Yeah, like basis guys,
yeah, the basis guy. Today,
adding someone in.
yeah, even today I see like the business guy try to be a security guy because that's how we have been. So it's just like that gap and that mindset, right? That mindset is still was missing. I know it's changing now with all the works everybody have been doing, SAP and somebody like JP and Marianne and all these leaders who started cybersecurity for SAP, I would say. So yeah, we thought like maybe why not? And if you search around, even on LinkedIn for job and everything, you would just see SAP security. So there was a
Yeah,
gap, there was still a mindset gap or vacuum to bring those two words together. So we thought, why not to have a book and maybe start there? And we're not claiming to like we have all the answers there, but we are saying this is the mindset which you start from here. And security is always an evolving process, right? So you start somewhere and then you improve, right? So yeah,
yeah.
this is like our effort, JP and I effort, and to give back to the community and kind of and start that mindset shift to SAP cybersecurity.
Yeah, because when I think of cyber security, I think of like someone hacking it. And if I think of just like basis security, I think of like just adding admin roles in kind of thing. So I almost think it's kind of like two different people at that point, but it's really kind of the same guy, but they just don't, sometimes I don't think they realize that they can cross over to,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they've been
that
so entrained with SAP.
but that's the root of the this gap that Gaurav was mentioning. It's like security has always been understood as this like admin, like adding permissions, building roles, segregation of duties, all of that. While as cybersecurity is this like, hey, like hacker getting into our system, but IT security teams never had enough visibility and control on the SAP landscape. It was a black box. So it was all about those roles and profiles, and that's the root of this. Is like, hey, if you want to secure SAP applications, it's absolutely important to do roles, profiles, authorization, but you also have to do all these other things because, and this is to put a very recent example. There was a vulnerability being actively exploited by threat actors. SAP patched in April 24th, so a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of organizations were hit by this. And this was a 0-day, a vulnerability affecting SAP applications. Companies doing roles, profiles, authorizations would have been completely exposed. But if you were active and proactive on the cybersecurity side of this security concept, well, you would have been much more prepared to address this threat.
So that would be like, you know, would that be the best, like an example of like, the proper, what is the proper response of an organization to a security issue? Like something like that. Like, what should they do? I mean,
well, yeah, absolutely. So that's it really depends on the issue today, patch day. I totally forgot about it, Gaurav. Thank you for bringing it. It's like 22 new patches coming up from SAP. So organizations need to respond to that. The good thing is like this is planned. So everyone is expecting second Tuesday of every month. Basis admins are prepared and ready to go and apply those, prioritize and apply those security patches. But that takes a process, right? So organizations need to be prepared to react to these vulnerabilities, some of them very critical. Many of them, like the Onaxis Research Labs, contributed with 9 vulnerabilities and hence 6 patches of these 22. So if you have the right process in place, then organizations would have been reacting to this timely. Now, there's other type of incidents or reactions that is when someone is actively targeting an SAP application, right? The threat actor exploiting vulnerabilities in rare cases, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, a 0-day. So being able to be prepared to that, and to your point, Kendall, is like, what is a good response? Well, we've seen bad outcomes out of this all over, right? Mandiant responding to over 200 incidents on this vulnerability alone. But on the flip side, we have seen cases where organizations were exploited, but then they were very quick to react, applying the patches right after SAP released them. So they avoided the second wave of exploitation, more opportunistic attackers, after the 26th, I think it started, deploying all sorts of crypto miners and malware to further compromise the system. So that's a good example of, hey, in a very bad situation overall for everyone, organizations that were quick to react completely avoided these additional threat actors that were more opportunistic, and some very advanced, as we saw in some news, like specific threat actors with from very specific pointed countries targeting these organizations. So it really depends on what type of scenario you're dealing with, patches, incidents, but there should be a process, a well documented and well trained process for all of these. Yeah.
Do you think this is just me thinking about this, like what you were saying, if you are not on maintenance, you are a higher risk of this. Do you think that customers that are running ERP SAP are a bit safer than having a, let's say, HR payroll on-prem system that's an offshoot, or some old on-prem, CRM system or something like that? Because, that's not as well maintained as core ERP, I would think.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's if you run older and especially non-maintained versions, then you need to rely on other type of controls to add some additional level of security. But in the end, if you're running on maintained versions, you can apply the patches that are released by SAP. Actually, SAP went above and beyond on the patches released for this latest vulnerability I was mentioning, because they went beyond their typical 18-month rule. So they released patches for many different support packages. However, if you are on 7.4, 7.3, 7.1, then you have no patch. You need to rely on workarounds or some other specific network security devices, or other compensating controls. But it's always recommended to stay on the maintained release versions, and especially on the latest, because SAP maintains and provides and innovates on the latest technology, right? So I know that implies additional budget and some additional projects, but it's always from a security perspective, but also from a business perspective, to stay on the latest and greatest that SAP provides.
Okay, so we got some questions here. Let's answer for you. What is the learning path for SAP Cybersecurity Professional?
Gaurav, maybe you want.
Read
there
the
you
book.
I'm trying to show that one. I think I know I have my background here.
Start reading the book.
Yeah, so I think we have been asked like why we wrote this book, right? Because there is a lack of, I would say, if you search on SAP Learning Hub, or if you search us online, there is not enough resources talking about cybersecurity for SAP. So again, we are not claiming this has everything. It will make you like somebody like JP, but it will at least help you to start understand what you should be doing when you move from just calling yourself SAP security or SAP basis person and saying, no, I understand what cybersecurity for SAP means, different kind of domains going beyond your identity and GRC and SOCs. vulnerability management, threat management, incident response, uh, your business continuity and disaster recovery. Just like having that mindset, understanding, and then I think this continuous learning. This is one of
Yeah, I
the,
agree.
I would say, but there is not like a documented learning path as of today. Maybe that's something, I know we always saying, what is our next, how do we keep this going, JP? I don't know if there's something maybe we can work on it. But I would start from this book, and that is the reason we wrote this book, to give you something, a one stop thing where you have something you can hand and then you can learn it. So
Yes.
I know I'm not marketing myself. I mean, not marketing ourselves, but at least this is like a resource is which you should start with your learning journey on SAP cybersecurity.
Okay, so here's another question. So if organizations do have SAP in private cloud, but completely managed by SAP, do they still need to be concerned about security?
All
Is this a
right.
HEC customer, or are they on HEC, or are they
Rise,
on,
Rise
Yeah,
PC.
what would you be, a
that's
RISE or a HEC private cloud?
I think it's Mohit.
He's on RISE. Okay, here we go. He's RISE.
Yeah. So I start and then I let Gaurav because he lived through it as well. So yeah, that's what we call the shared responsibility model. And it's especially important in private cloud where you share some of the responsibility and SAP shares some of the responsibility. And ultimately, let me stress this, I cannot stress this enough. It's your data. So organizations are ultimately responsible, even if SAP is running your applications and have certain responsibilities around how to maintain that. It's ultimately your data, so you're responsible for ensuring that the controls are in place to prevent someone from accessing that. So due diligence is critical. But then in RISE, private cloud, shared responsibility model, so you own some of that responsibility, SAP owns some of that. So, but it's important to go and check that so you understand where the boundaries are. Gaurav?
Yeah, I think this is the one of the question we always get it, because Rise is new, and it's something I know it's every customer is trying to move towards a Rise PC model. As JP was saying, if you have to start it, SAP has a big 100 page or maybe 100 page, maybe more than that. There's roles and responsibility kind of a matrix they provide, the whole PDF document. It clearly explain what SAP as a cloud service provider is going to do for you, and then what is your responsibilities. Understand that shared responsibility model for you, because they're kind of taking the layer, database layer, and maybe some part of the application layer, maybe 000
Hmm.
client, but you still own your business client. You still own your application level security. So this kind of a hot news, or the 0 day coming up for the application layer, they may inform you, but you are still on the hook as a customer to get that whatever is patching. You may have to do a service request for them to actually do the work for you, but you're still on the hook to acknowledge it and
You
say,
know,
"Oh,
that's funny you say that, because a lot of times people think, oh, well, once it's RISE, eh, hands off, they got it. Is not the deal.
yeah," but
Yeah.
they're taking a lot of responsibility, but you still have
Yes, but it's just changed.
change. Yeah, and it's more maybe coordination. I think SAP.me becomes your D tool, and you would see different kind of vulnerabilities there, at least on those layers SAP is on the hook for. So unless you have a CAS offering, which is like additional service, which most of customer may not have it, on the application layer, you still need to have a process, technology, and a policy where you can still figure out, okay, second patch Tuesday, today, 13th May, I see whatever, I don't know, SAP security notes on the application layer. Who's on the hook for determining whether we are susceptible to those vulnerabilities? I think it's still you as a customer. SAP may flag you about critical ones, but they're not going to tell you which systems are all vulnerable for those nodes. So you have to make sure you have the visibility either via technology solutions, or maybe your basis guy is going in manually and checking for every node. We just got released today. So it's still your responsibility, Mohit.
Do you think that if you are a customer and you're on RISE, do you think that you should allow, like, a consulting firm to farm out that security role? Or do you think you should have an in-house person always being able to double check what is going on?
I think it maybe JP.
Just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question, and there is a little bit of everything. It's all over. Some organizations prefer to have people from the organization itself owning some of that responsibility. Some other companies are embracing this cloud outsourcing, like outsourcing responsibilities to SAP, but also outsourcing consultancy on those, and they keep a very small team in-house. So it really depends on the organization and their appetite to own some of that knowledge and some of those processes.
So do hackers really target SAP systems, or is the cybersecurity part of SAP only based on authorizations?
That's a great question. Well, I just need to go back a few days in the past to give you examples of hackers actively targeting SAP applications. And this is very recent. And these past 2 or 3 weeks have been very busy for me and my team, basically working with our customers, working with SAP customers, working with SAP itself, like really bringing awareness around what these threat actors have been doing. But yeah, they understand SAP technology more than we think they do. And that has been proven by this latest active exploitation. They developed a very custom exploit for SAP, and they've been using to compromise SAP applications. So there is very deep knowledge on SAP technology on the bad guys side, right? These threat actors, and they are using it to compromise applications, and that led to many bad outcomes. But it's important to understand that and that this is happening, and we need to be purposeful to prevent and be well positioned in the case of a critical vulnerability, of an active exploitation, or someone trying to break into our organization.
And we thought our basis guys were just retiring. Just kidding, just kidding. I thought that.
Maybe if I can add, I think on that one, because even the SAP landscape, the threat landscape has evolving to more cloud, right? The time has gone. It was all within a firewall. It was all internal systems, right? The only way to log in was you can be in the whatever network you are in within a firewall. Now with S4 public cloud, with BTPs, I would say is one piece where it's becoming more of a non-SAP technology. You can do a Node.js. So it's becoming more as the other kind of a landscape we have seen it. And then if it's not that kind of close, which is ABAP based, Java based, whatever it is, like it was kind of all sitting within a firewall, but now it's going out there as a cloud offering, right?
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
It's becoming more
so all those old state and local guys with closed systems are probably safer.
So it's easier for them to understand SAP, the new SAP word, right? The BTP word, and everything else, right? So it's getting easy for them to, and if they understand something, I think they're gonna, I don't know, this is where your crown jewels are anyway, right? This is your financial system, your I don't know, your HR system. So you can only think nobody is, I don't know. I think JP has more data point. I think he sees and he lives through it. But I would say, like, yes, it's obviously it's matter of when, it's not matter of if, right? So we have to be more like a proactive than saying, okay, it's not coming, it's not happening, right?
So do you think it's more because we're kind of entering their world instead of them, like before within SAP, no one really understood SAP. They were all, the outside, doing their thing. Now we're kind of.
I think there is a little bit of that. Before, it was everyone was running SAP applications on premises behind the firewall, and that was also a strong misunderstanding of organizations. Say, no, these applications run behind the firewall. I'm okay with this because I keep this under control. Well, even back then it wasn't true, but now more so. It's like cloud organizations are pushing their applications to the cloud, still running on premises, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, platform as a service, BTP, RISE, all of these concepts completely interconnected. So the attack surface grows significantly. And yes, we are getting into the cloud where there is also more knowledge. Hackers and threat actors understand this technology, but they also understand SAP standard technology as well. So there is more knowledge about this, all of these building blocks that are ultimately building our SAP landscape. So yeah, I would say, Kendall, to your point, there is a little bit of that as well in this more interconnected world of SAP on RISE, on premise, all over.
Yeah, because one of the guys here is asking, what about security concerns for S4 on-prem? And then I started thinking, BTP, you just opened it up.
Not to forget, we are living in AI world. So if they don't understand SAP the way they want to, there's always a help for them to make it easy for them, right? To decipher SAP the way they want to decipher it, right? So this is a different word altogether. It's so easy to understand as something. Even like I learn every day the things I don't know, right? So it's so easy for us. So even same for them, right? All the bad actors is they have different tools and avenues now to understand SAP and the way they want to understand, maybe try to hack into, right? And yeah, BTP is all in SaaS. It's a PaaS offering, but it's all kind of a SaaS offering. I can just log in, open a web, and yeah, so all your custom code, your low code, no code, whatever you're calling it. So even though you have S4 on-prem, but your custom thing are gonna sit in on a SaaS world, which is all out there, right? If you don't put the address there, if you don't know what's going on there, you kind of, I don't know, closing your house, everything, but you're keeping a window open on your basement or whatever you call it, right?
Do you think that the on-prem guys that are like hosted, somewhere in some data center out in the desert, and they think, oh, I'm secure, do you think that's also just the same thing as what we're talking about here? I mean, people can get in. It's not as closed off as you think.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of what I was mentioning in terms of behind keeping the SAP systems behind the firewall. Yes, organizations still run a significant portion of their SAP applications on their premises. In some cases, even in a private cloud like Azure, GCP, AWS, completely integrated into their internal networks. So it's this is exposed to all of the attacks that we hear continuously, like phishing, credential stuffing, ransomware, all of these threats that are beyond SAP, right, affecting organizations from attacking from different angles, because in the end, threat actors are going to go looking for whatever is their quickest path to money, to revenue, right? So they're going to use whatever they can. If it's SAP, they're going to use SAP as a mechanism to that. And we talk about ransomware, exploitation, phishing, all of that. Even if they are running on premises, they're S4 on premise, it's still potentially affected by that. And more so, as we discussed, these on-premise systems through SAP Cloud Connector, through SAP Router, connected to BTP, connected to all of these SaaS services that they need because SAP is building. Absolutely, yeah. All of that. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, I know people really don't realize that, there's a bunch of different ways you can jump in to a closed system. Do you think, I'm going to totally botch this. Sorry, security people. SIEM solutions, did I say that right? Can protect an SAP environment.
Yeah, that's SIEM solutions. That's a very, very well-known acronym in the security space. Security information and event management. That's basically a system that receives log data and events and traces from multiple applications or from all over the organization. And it's useful to detect some threats. Mostly it's useful for forensics, so you can have a trace of everything that happened. And now they are connected to other systems like EDR, XDR, but it's important, but it's not the ultimate solution for security, right? It's an important building block of your security posture. It's going to give you a good perspective, very good mechanisms to do forensics, for example, and alert on some threats, but you still need all of the rest of the cybersecurity puzzle as well.
It's
So what
only
is it? Oh, go ahead. I
I
was
just
gonna say,
add, it only serve like one function of the security function we talk about in our book, like NIST cybersecurity framework, right? So you have govern, so you start there, like you have to have a policy, you have to know what's our risk are as a customer, right? Then you have to have a process. I think it's not like one facet answer. It's a marathon. We always say security is a marathon. It's not like a sprint, right? So then you have a policy on a very high level. Then you have identify. You have to know what you have. Then only you can protect it, right? So know your systems, assets, and everything on the SAP side. Then the protect function comes in, right? Then you have to have technology and process there to and configuration, security hardening, and everything there. And then I think the same probably comes on the detect and the respond and recover maybe, right? And if I'm not wrong, JP, like it's more like it aggregate all the logs. It's kind of helps you to know what's going on. You see a log from network layer, you see a log from your whatever EDR and other solutions or technology you have, right? And maybe even AppSys would feed you application logging too. So then you have one pane of view to know what's going on in your so then you have incident, right? So that's kind of the same as what it does for you as a customer, but it's not one kind of magic key which will solve all the problems. You still have to have all things covered on different functions, like the whole spectrum, not just one piece. It's one piece of the puzzle. I wanted to add that, Kendall. Sorry, I think you had.
yeah, no. That's perfect. Your perfect intro into my question. So what is the difference between SAP Cybersecurity and the industry standard cloud cybersecurity?
Okay.
Same thing?
Do you wanna who starts on this?
Looks like Raja started this one.
I think I can try maybe JP, then you can maybe
Okay.
add in.
Absolutely.
So cloud is like more like it's giving you the infrastructure, right, or the platform, right? SAP is, I think, it's applications, right? We install up SAP on top of your whatever, say Azure, AWS, or GCP, or your on-prem, right? You install your hardware, then you get it virtually from the cloud, then you install your operating system, then you install your database, which is HANA for SAP, then the application is there, right? So I would say the cloud security is kind of part of the bigger SAP cybersecurity. That's why I say I always joke like I'm kind of a CISO of my own SAP, right? Because CISO is kind of responsibility is to do everything, right? We're not just limiting ourselves to one piece of the puzzle, right? So for SAP cybersecurity, you have to take care of the cloud security too, right? Whether it's being done by SAP for you for the RISE model, or if it's done by your own team, because if you are on-prem using Azure, AWS, or GCP, right? So cloud security is part of the SAP cybersecurity. It's not the other way around, right? Uh, SAP cybersecurity goes beyond that. Then my application layer security, my identities, my SOCs, my vulnerability management or application security, knowing what's going on. My disaster happened. Right? How can I recover? Can I go to a DR site successfully with my RTO and RPO? Right. So it's like the full spectrum of everything, but the cloud security would come as a part of the SAP cybersecurity. And JP, over to you.
Yeah, no, and that's a great question. I like the way it was framed because thinking about the answer made me think that there is a good synergy in that, but it's a perfectly valid question for anyone. Hey, like we are going to the cloud. What about the industry standard cloud security? Is that enough for whenever I'm deploying or running my applications? Well, it's a cloud can be many different things. We need to start with that. There are different ways to serve the cloud and infrastructure as a service, software as a service, platform as a service. All of these different cloud service delivery models will entail different type of security controls. For example, the cloud provider needs to deal with everything around the data centers, right? Like physical security, different type of network securities, all sort of different controls that are not part of the things that you need to worry about, but you need to make sure that that provider is addressing that. There's attestation for that. There's different type of mechanisms that allows you to ensure that that's happening. And today, most organizations will go to the big guys, AWS, GCP, Microsoft. They have all of these very well oiled, but there are other providers as well that will also make a great job at giving you that level of visibility. But there are more things that you need to address, especially where the gap starts is at the application layer. So all of the network, data centers, different cloud service models, all of that is standard. But when you talk about the application, that's when the standard cloud security is we start to see a gap. Because SAP applications are very complex. So you have landscapes, you have application servers, you have different roles, you have clients, you have a lot of different concepts, which we highlighted on the book, that you need to understand what are the controls around that. Of course, it all boils down to the data that you have in the application, but the complexity on these business applications is such that you need to ensure that there are specific controls for different areas of these applications. And that's, I think, where we start separating from cloud security. But as Gaurav said, cloud security is definitely has to be a part. If you are in the cloud, which most of you are, most likely, because SAP has been pushing for cloud for a long time, for all the SaaS solutions, all of the BTP, RISE. So most likely, cloud security is already a part of that for the majority of you.
Yeah, I think we have a ton of questions for you guys. You're very popular at the moment. So we're going to kind of go through some of these, and I think a lot of them are very similar, just worded differently. So I think that one of them is, what is the best way to protect the SAP data on the HANA database, particularly using DLP to avoid data breach? So that's probably an ECC customer that has, HANA first time outside of the world of on-prem. And then we have, are there any cross-domain identity management solution that work with SAP and non-SAP solutions? And the misconception is there with those clients who are new to SAP world or migrating from another ERP solution to SAP, they may not have the complete understanding. And does the book cover insights of Onapsis or Centennial integration with SAP?
Okay, we can start with the easiest one. Yeah, the book covers insights in Onapsis, specifically details on what you can do and with the Onapsis platform and the capabilities. And we cover many other areas. So just one chapter, but we cover all of the basics. The other question, I remember the first one on HANA. The good thing with HANA is that it's much more restricted in terms of the users that actually access the HANA database. That's becoming a key part of all SAP implementations, right? As SAP customers transition from their old ERP on AnyDB to ERP on HANA and then to S4. The number of users that directly access HANA, depending on the type of deployment you have, for the most part, is really limited. So that it's not as in SAP where you have thousands of different users with different roles, with access to different parts of the application and data. But yeah, and the good thing is that HANA by default provides a lot of controls around encryption at rest, encryption in transit. So all of that is there are a lot of controls by default in the HANA database. So that's a good starting point. And with the reduced attack surface and the reduced access, it makes it a little bit of a more controlled environment at the SAP application. Just wanted to make that difference from the protecting the database versus protecting the application. You need to protect both, but on the application you need to invest much more effort because the complexity is tenfold.
I think there was a question around identity, right? Or did we answer that one? The identity for SAP, non-SAP, Kendall. I just wanted to add a response there as well, Kendall. Again, there's no one answer. I know SAP kind of going away with their own IDM solutions. So now I think Entra, the Microsoft Entra, and then the integration with IAG and the whole GRC word is how kind of we are seeing our kind of the entire identity provisioning going on, or the future would be. But I don't think there's like one right answer or one right tool which can do everything seamlessly. There are different options, there are different kind of combinations. They have different adapters and other things. But I think even the IEG, which is SAP's GRC on cloud, right? They support SCIM integrations in the API, more like industry standard protocols. So I think it's becoming more. I think it's easy for you to kind of build that whole identity lifecycle management, and most of the customer would have Microsoft Entra as their identity provider, right? So I would recommend that approach, like go with whatever identity provider you have, and then try to integrate with either using SAP GRC or IEG, which is their cloud, and then yeah, they support FCIM and everything else there. So we did cover a few of the I think identity piece in our book too, but we didn't want to make it like it's just such a vast topic, but we have covered that in our book as well.
So those are different tools that SAP Cybersecurity that you can use, right?
Yeah, around this identity, I would say IEG, IES, and IPA, which is their authentication tools. So I think working with IEG and the Cloud Identity Services, which is on BTP, you use that and then you integrate that with your Entra or SailPoint or whatever identity provider you have, Okta, and then that's how we will recommend that.
Okay. All right. So this is kind of interesting. What are the key targets for hackers? Database, operating system, core SAP application? Are there any known hacks of an SAP system?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I would say that based on all of the options that were laid in the question, application seems to be the number one target for threat actors targeting specifically SAP applications. Now there are many attacks that go at the operating system level, but that I would say is more like across the board, right? If there's a vulnerability in Microsoft Windows, if there's a vulnerability, a well-known kernel vulnerability in Linux or things like that, those will be used and are used, for example, to spread ransomware and other types of threats, but they mostly target application level vulnerabilities, as we've seen recently on the past couple of weeks.
Is there any big known case out there that's like a case study?
It's actually developing. Yes, that's CVE 2025-31324. So that's a recent zero-day CVSS 10. And now today, SAP released another patch related to this. It was a remaining part of the solution that's CVE 2025, I need to learn the number, but it's another related case. So after all of these settles, we'll probably write a case around this and highlight how important it is security in this new world of like threat actors targeting anything, including applications, SAP applications on-premise in the cloud. So that's very recent. We can go into the details of this specific incident, but it will take us a lot of time, I want to leave some room for people to ask about the book as
Sure.
well.
But I believe there are like companies who got bankrupt. I think there are some published
Yeah.
case studies, Kendall. I mean, again, as JP is saying, we don't want to cover those, but if you just search, just go on Google and search for it. There are, and and they have confirmed this were SAP systems, and so again, we just
Yeah.
have to prepare for matter of when, not if, right? We have to kind of come from that mindset, saying with this changing SAP environment, we are getting attacked for sure. Maybe if it's not today, if it's tomorrow, if it's whatever. But we as a defender has to be prepared, not like a reactive, more a proactive approach. And yeah, the risk, like what is the risk, and then how much, like you have vulnerabilities, and how do you stay ahead? Like the 0 day which JP is talking, this has been published, and I remember, like, I don't know, when everybody talking about that and just figuring out whether we are patched or not. So it's just something you have to have process, and yes, yeah, SAP is being attacked for sure.
Yeah, and just to complement on Gaurav's, thank you. I totally forgot about that. It was this year. A company went bankruptcy, and in all of the filings they did, because they were not able to pay their lenders, and in those filings they mentioned specific SAP cybersecurity issue, and they didn't provide a lot of details on those filings. There are some suggestions that it could be related to ransomware or some other type of threats specifically targeting SAP. But yeah, it's happening, right? There's more. And 1 or 2 months ago, also CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency from the US, also highlighted another vulnerability being actively exploited as well on SAP. So lots of things happening this year on the SAP cybersecurity world, highlighting how important it is to take this seriously, right?
So we have someone asking this question, and I don't know how you're going to answer this, but I'm going to give you let's give you like a couple minutes each to give me an overview of SAP cybersecurity. If you could give me a short overview of what you believe SAP cybersecurity is.
Want to start, Gaurav?
Yeah, okay. So I would just say it's a mindset shift for, like, I've been a SAP security person when I started. I was a basis guy, uh, moving to security and doing the GRC work for lot many years, right? So I would say SAP cybersecurity is a mindset shift for, I would say, more on the SAP folks more than the cybersecurity folks, because they understand cybersecurity. They understand what cybersecurity is. What they don't understand is what that mean from SAP perspective. So for us, I would say SAP cybersecurity is to bring those two words together. We SAP security, we SAP basis guys think more like those cybersecurity infosec professionals, and maybe also helping them understand more of our world, because you can't fight this battle alone. You're gonna need a team. We call it Squad at Under Armour. You're gonna need a team to protect, and we call it protect our house. So you gotta protect your SAP ecosystem, right? So SAP cybersecurity is that mindset shift and bringing two different silos work together. InfoSec guys here, my CISOs org, SAP security, SAP basis guys, and go beyond just saying we are good because we are doing GRC, we are doing SOX, we are doing audit. No, cybersecurity goes beyond compliance. It goes beyond just doing identity and access management. It goes beyond just PFCG, building my S4 roles, my job roles, and GRC. There's some, I would say, some cybersecurity from the process control, from the fraud perspective, which we have been good from just seeing from the financial fraud, because we have that. We have seen the financial fraud in happening in SAP world, but probably we are not seeing that much happening on the cyber side, like getting, as we heard, like a company getting bankrupt, right? So it's a risk to the business, right? So understand that risk, understand what we do today, understand what the S4 journey would mean for me as a customer, including BTP and RISE and TC, and accepting that truth, saying we are not doing enough. We have to expand, whether it's getting somebody like a Onapsis or other whatever partner we have, some consulting firm or whatever, like have a policy, have a process, then make sure you go with technology. So those three triangles, right? Process, people, and technology. So start with process, train your teammates for security, your basis guys, and also train your infosec guys to know more about SAP. So bring that. I would say it's just one small line. It's a mindset shift and bringing two different siloed word, which is still siloed word together, and say this is SAP cybersecurity.
Don't you think that it's also continuous learning?
Yeah.
And if I was a basis guy and you're talking about all the cybersecurity, I'm not used to that. I'm used to things come in, I do my thing, put my patch on, add my security people. It's normal routine kind of stuff. But now you're talking stuff that what? It's totally not, game changer. So you kind of got to like listen, learn, and outsmart. It's almost like a cat mouse game. Don't you think?
There's a question like it says, who's responsible for security? And the answer is everybody. That's like you get that question. It's not just it's your SAP business users understanding what it means, what they're doing, it where can fraud happen. It's your basis guys, it's your infra guys, it's more like a cultural shift to right. That you said, yeah, right, like continuous learning. And that another thing I read somewhere in the book says the cybersecurity is never the big thing, the next big thing when we talk about AI and everything else, but we're always key part of that next big thing. Like they cannot happen without cybersecurity. The same is true for the SAP transformation journey, which is happening all over the world. Every customer is going on S4, RISE, and BTP. So that's happening. So we are not there. We're not the next big thing. The big thing is S4. But who's gonna be the enabler to ensure that is secure and your business is not at risk, right? That's SAP cybersecurity, right? So we are not celebrated. We are like I don't know, just being there and working on it. Maybe we have to learn to tell a better story, right? I think I met somebody from SAP team, like he's like a storyteller. I feel like we have to be a good storyteller. We have to tell the story saying like, as JP is doing, we are doing here, right? Thank you to you, Kendall. Like you have to acknowledge that, you have to tell the story, and that's how it's gonna work. It's not gonna happen day one. And I will stop here, JP. Maybe you wanna. I think I took more than you gave me time, Kendall. But JP.
Okay, all right, your time's up. Okay, go ahead, JP. Your turn.
Yeah, no, I think Gaurav made a tremendous job at describing that. I would say oversimplifying it is the cybersecurity for SAP is basically the combination of these two completely separated entities that 10, 15 years ago didn't talk to each other at all. Like they even like literally speak different languages. SAP team speaking Japanese, right? Like talking about T codes and roles and all of these SAP acronyms. The same goes for IT security, talking about CVE, CWE, CVSS, like SIM, as we discussed, XDR, all of these other acronyms don't talk to each other at all. They don't understand. So bringing those two together to ensure that ultimately SAP applications are secure, not only from a compliance perspective, but also from outside threat actors and like all of these other risks, that's cybersecurity for SAP. It's like making sure that you basically secure your SAP applications holistically and not in silo.
I totally agree. It's interesting because, before it was like, you never really talked about, anything outside of like, you're going to do code. It's ABAP. It's, we're talking about our own like language. But if someone said, hey, why don't you use like, all the OpenAI stuff or that freeware, whatever.
Open source, yeah.
Yes. We were like, no, we would never do that. It was like, and so now it's kind of like, yeah, come on in, AI. And everybody's like freaking out. What are you doing? You're inviting them in. You're not supposed to be inviting them in. So now we got to figure out how do we control them in our environment and still let them, be productive and let us move forward. Let SAP move forward.
Absolutely. And that's related to what you just said and Gaurav said. It's like we have been perceived as security has been perceived as a blocker, whereas it should and can be an enabler. Like, okay, how do we help adopting technologies faster? How do we help accelerating development of new applications, of new capabilities, using open source, using AI, using all of these great things, but in a secure and controlled way, right? So we need to shift that as well. Instead of being perceived as the guys that are blocking the project, putting roads, basically roadblocks. How do we enable them? The way to do that is not having security as an afterthought, but really part of your requirements from the get-go, right? Like make sure that security is considered as part of that transition to RISE, as that adoption of this new product from SAP, making sure that that's not and that basically accelerates timelines, right?
Well, I think a lot of people think that, I mean, I personally do it all the time. Like I'm trying to send a big file through email and it won't go. And I'm like, God, those security people will not let my stuff go through. And I'm like, they're so frustrating. But then I thought, well, maybe there's a reason behind this, why I can't send giant files through, email and stuff. So, there are reasons behind, and a lot of people just got to understand there are rules to follow. But it does hint us, it does say you said it makes it so that people can't do things. But I think if you actually go to your security team and tell them, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and they'd probably be very, very reasonable and help figure it out.
Absolutely. And there are always reasons behind all of those controls. Those controls are preventing certain type of issues. So, but working side by side with security, with your IT security, with your SAP security, bringing all of those together, they'll give you answers and solutions to all those problems.
Okay, so I have some really cool things here to tell you guys before we have 3 minutes left. So, first thing is the book. Okay, so we have a huge sale going on here. So if y'all will love this. It's the May Mega Sale. You can get 25% off the book using code MAYMEGA25. Number one. Up until the 18th. You do it after the 18th, you have to use Book Club 15. That's my code. I can give you 15% off the book. However, if you buy more than $200 worth of books, you get 30% off automatically. Isn't that cool? So these are some really cool things that are coming up here in May. And another great thing that's coming up here in May is we're going to be at Sapphire. And so we're having sessions, and Gaurav is actually involved in the sessions in regards to security. And so you can actually go and watch him speak. And you can also, JP's team is also going to be there. They will have a booth. You can go there and talk to them. That's Synapsis. And I believe you guys are speaking at other sessions as well, or with Gaurav. I think it's with him, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
There's a bunch of sessions, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So y'all can hear a bunch of things that way. You can also make sure if you are there to stop by, find me at the Cognizant booth, and we will take a pic, and we'll get you on the book club LinkedIn site, and we're going to try to see how many people we can get reading a technical book. So that's kind of our, last year we did 100, believe it or not. We had 100 people reading books, and we even got Christian Klein to do it, which is even funnier. So we're going to see if we can get the new president of SAP Americas to read a book with us. So anything that you guys would like to say as a inspiration message to him?
Just thank you all for joining, making sure that you keep your system secure starts by being purposeful. I think that starts by joining this book club, reading the book, trying to understand what are the threats and vulnerabilities and areas that you need to cover. So thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the book, and really we are here to help, right?
And if we did not get to your question, we will get these two guys to answer it, and we'll put it out there so that you can find how to. We'll put it probably within the link of the video or something, or post. Don't worry, we'll get to that.
I will just add, maybe when you do buy the book, maybe you do buy the book, try to give that, or maybe gift it to your, maybe your somebody from your InfoSec, like maybe your cyber side, maybe your CISO, or maybe I'll try to get it for your basis folks too. I think I remember in one of the conferences, somebody came in saying, okay, I'm a basis guy. I want, when your book is coming up, I want that book. I want that book to give it to my whatever, I think maybe InfoSec guys or some other guys. So try to get this. This can bring in that mindset. Maybe ask those questions to your InfoSec guys, to your basis guys. What are we doing? Like this patch day came up. If you have a process, I think congratulations. If you don't, then ask those questions and use this book as a resource to kind of build your cybersecurity program for SAP. And yeah, we are always kind of open for feedback. We are not claiming like we got everything covered, because it's limited number of pages we can write. But yeah, please reach out to us on LinkedIn. We are pretty active on LinkedIn, JP or myself, or even Kendall, or even the SAP Press book club, everybody here. And yeah, provide your feedback, review, and maybe let us know how we can do better. Maybe next second version of the book, or whatever it is. So, yeah,
we'll maybe be doing e-bites soon. You'll be just talking all over the place.
Yeah, please reach out to us. And it's a team, it's a collective for we coming as a community together. No one single person can solve a problem, right? So let's come in as a together. We call it SAP Cybersecurity Community. So let's join hands, and yeah, I think see you at a Sapphire if you're coming up there.
So Sizzle is the other side of the house, right? Sizzle is, what is
CISO,
that?
yes.
Yeah,
that's the executive in charge of security. Yeah.
So SAP Sizzle, we need to come up with something that, because Sizzle's pretty cool.
I have my own title. I call my, I have to, right? So we do everything. What a CISO does for the entire org, we kind of do it just for the SAP vertical, right? So I think we have to think like, even though you're not CISO, you have to think as a CISO for SAP world, because that's how the mind shift will start coming up, right? So
excellent. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, everybody. And we will do this again. We have a bunch of more books coming up, so stay tuned. Bye. See you at Sapphire.
Thank you. Bye-bye.